to be here at 4:30, but then there were some much more senior people from the other party whose security is much more stringent than mine. So I was a little late. My apologies. You see, Ajay, in school and college, GSTIs, I was more interested in sports and of course studies for whichever course I was doing. You will be surprised that as a student in engineering college, GSTIs, I never participated in the student union elections. Never even voted. Because I thought it was a waste of time. There were other things, better things to do. But then, in my final year, I lost my father. Being the eldest, I had to give up my, I would say, ambition to do my master's in industrial engineering in US, for which I had got an admission. But then my mother said, forget about your post-graduation now, stay back at home. So there I landed myself, 21 years of age, nothing much to do. So the events overtook me. And when the events overtook me, I landed myself in being elected unopposed as the Nagar Palika president of Raghugad, my hometown, because I was not a member of any political party then, and there were 3 corporators from the Congress, 3 corporators from the Jansangh, and 2 independent. So they could choose who would be their president, so they said, okay, let's choose this youngster to be the president of the Raghugad Nagar Palika. So this is how I landed myself at the age of 22 as the president of the Nagar Palika Raghugad. Then there is a misconception that my father was in the Jansangh. My father was never in the Jansangh. My father was a confirmed Gandhian. He became a member of the Congress party in 1939. Wore khadi, and when Gandhiji gave a call to open up the gates of the temples for the Dalits, the Harijans, he opened up the gates of our family deities, open to the Dalits and those untouchables who were not supposed to enter temples. So when Gandhiji gave a call that Congress party as a political party should be disbanded and do some constructive work, he resigned from the Congress party, and in 1952 he contested as an independent and he defeated the Congress candidate and the Hindu Mahasabha candidate as an independent. But he remained a congressman. In fact, he supported the party throughout. In 57, my constituency became reserved, so he could not contest. So this misconception I must remove, that part of my cancer. But in 1970, there was an SPD government in Madhya Pradesh, and Mr. Govindarajan Singh was the chief minister. He had defected. It was the first defection in Madhya Pradesh politics, when Mr. Govindarajan Singh defected from the Congress party and formed the government with the Jansangh. So Rajmata Scindia was a member of parliament from that constituency. She was in Congress, but then she had a tiff with the then Chief Minister, Mr. D.P. Mishra, and she fought the 1967 parliament election from Swatantra Party and got elected. And she then joined Jansangh. There was no anti-defection law that time. Now, she wanted me to join Jansangh. Then Kushabhau Thakre and Kailash Sarang, they all came to me with books of the RSS idol of Guru Govind Ji, And at the same time, Govindanand Singh ji said, please read Gandhi, Nehru, and also read the famous Sanskriti ki Char Adhyay of Ramdhari Singh Dinkar. So after that, they took me around, Mr. Kushabhav Thackeray, then told Mr. Kailash Sarang to take me around. So after going around 2-3 times, I realized that probably I was not cut out for a party like Jan Sangh. Because in boarding school, we never had this sort of idea of hatred towards each other's religion. Yeah, there was no such thing as that. And in fact, I must confess, I'm a non-vegetarian, so during the rosas of the Muslims in the Sahari in the morning, at 4:35 in the morning, we used to get up just to have kebabs with our Muslim students. Anyway, so that was not the issue. The issue was that I never realized and never believed in this kind of I would say distinction on the basis of religion. Anyway, so I got into politics and then I joined Congress party. This is how I started.
And what a journey it has been, sir, over a period of time. I must say, not that I need to mention about your laurels and your achievements. Each one of us present here knows about it. And very honest answers I would expect from you from my second question. आज के युग में राजनीतिक दल बदलना, to migrate from one political party to the other has kind of become an order of the day. ये इतनी बार इतनी दफ़ा ऑफ लेट हो चुका है कि हम शायद अब इस बात को बुरा मानना भी हम बंद कर चुके हैं. हमारे दिल में सिर्फ एक खबर मात्र बन जाती है कि ये आदमी कुछ विधायकों के साथ ये दूसरे राजनीतिक दल में चले गए. You've been a pleasant exception wherein you've not been migrated, you've never migrated from the Congress party to, I'm sure you must have had many lucrative offers in your entire political career. What made you not do that when this is just become the order of the day? I mean, what actually prevented you from doing it? Of course, I'm not complaining, hats off to someone like you who's done that, but the fact is, what made you not do it, sir? Very honestly.
Basically, what is politics? Politics is service of the people on the basis of particular ideology. Now, a country like ours, one of the most diverse country in the world, ethnic diversity, religious diversity, diversity of castes, communities, subcastes. Do you know any country which has got more than 20 official languages in the world? There is no such. If you travel from, which of course I did, the Bharat Jodo Yatra from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, from Tamil you suddenly land up in Kerala. So everything changes. The language, the food, the attire, everything changes. So in such a diverse country, you can't push one nation, one religion, one food, and other things. So therefore, in a diverse country like ours, you have to understand what this country is really, what is the characteristics of this country. When Mahatma Gandhi came from South Africa to fight for the independence, he went up to Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Gokhale ji said, well, first you must understand what India is before you sort of, I advise. So he did a Bharat Darshan. Mahatma Gandhi went around each part of the country and saw how diverse our country was. And then he sort of took up the challenges of the farmers, the poor, the abject poverty existing at that time, sort of formed his political opinion. Now, I come from a rural background and I have seen poverty, I have seen diversity, and therefore I thought that in a country like ours, a federal structure of our constitution is the only way out. And therefore, I took up this issue that we have to sort of do politics on the basis of our political ideology. So whenever a youngster comes to me and says that I want to be in politics, I said, first of all, read all the political ideologies that they are there. Read Marxism, Karl Marx, read Guru Golwalkar, read Gandhi, read Nehru, and then decide which is the political party which can do maximum good for the nation, which can work for the country, which can work for the poor, and which is the best way to sort of the path which the nation should take. That you must decide by yourself. So therefore, I think as it stands today, now you just see what is happening in Manipur. What is the fight? What is the issue in Manipur? One section wants reservation, which they themselves said we don't want reservation in 1951. Suddenly they realized that we should become scheduled tribes. So this kind of a conflict, the ethnic conflict, is one of the most dangerous things in this country. And if this carries on, it can really divide the country. And this kind of a ghettoization, which has happened in Manipur, may happen in any part of the country. What happened after the Babri Masjid demolition? There were riots all over the country. And I've seen the migration of the Muslims from the Hindu areas to Muslim areas, and of the Hindus from the Muslim areas to the Hindu areas. This is not good. There are some cities in which the societies would not allow a Muslim to be a member of the society, and vice versa. How can a country progress like this? Religion is a matter of faith. But use of religion as a political weapon is dangerous. This is what has happened in Pakistan. Ziaul Haq as the president, he made the blunder of sort of placating the religious fundamentalists in Pakistan. Religious fundamentalism of any religion is bad, be it Hindus or the Muslims or the Sikhs or the Christians. This conflict and with the religion as the front is dangerous for any polity in this world. And therefore, I have sincerely believed that Congress is the only political party which can deliver goods. And when there's a conviction, I am convinced that the party I represent is the only political party which can do a general good in this country. That is why there is no question of my changing parties. Because changing parties is something which strikes at the very with the base of your of a conviction, and strikes at the very basics of democracy. So therefore this, and we brought in 1984, I was a member of parliament, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi brought the act by which you could not change the political party. But this has been amended now. It will become much more lenient. So therefore, I think there is a fundamental need to protect the very essence of democracy, and anyone who changes one party and joins another party, he should be disqualified to fight any election for the next 6 years and should be disallowed to sort of hold any office for the next 6 years.
सर मुझे विश्वास है जो इस स्टेज पर बैठ करके आपने ये वाक्य कहा है इसके रिपरकशंस राष्ट्रीय स्तर के होंगे, ये निश्चित बात है, क्योंकि आपकी कही बात 100% कैरी मीडिया, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया, प्रिंट मीडिया में बड़ी सीरियसली ली जाती है.
Whether good or bad.
Good or bad. Yes, I was about to come to that. You know, Digvijaya Singh ji is one of those few persons ki you may like him, you may dislike him. दोनों बातें संभव है. But you cannot ignore him. जैसे एक जमाने में सौरव गांगुली के बारे में कहा जाता है, तो you may like दादा, you may not like दादा, but you can't ignore him. तो सिमिलर मैं उस सवाल पे एक छोटी सी बात जो आपने इस हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग के बारे में कही है, मैं कुछ दिन पहले एक पत्रकार के साथ बैठा हुआ था, तो उसने मुझसे ये कहा कि भाई इस हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग को नया नाम क्यों ना दिया जाए. तो मैं उस पत्रकार से पूछा हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग का नया नाम क्या हो सकता है? व्हाई डोंट यू कॉल इट डोंकी ट्रेडिंग इंस्टेड ऑफ हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग?
That would be more appropriate.
Horses can't be traded. They stick to the stable that they come from. Only donkeys can be traded. तो मुझे बात अच्छी लगी इसलिए मैंने आपसे शेयर करी. एक अब मध्य प्रदेश स्टेट स्पेसिफिक सवाल आपसे सर,
जी,
जो हम सबको, जितने लोग यहाँ बैठे हम सबको प्रभावित करता है कहीं ना कहीं. वो सवाल ये है कि मध्य प्रदेश में एक आम सिटीजन, हर सिटीजन, हम जितने लोग मध्य प्रदेश से आए या बैठे हैं, वी आर इंडेटेड टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ 41,000 रुपीज पर हेड by the loan that has been taken in last 15 to 18 years by our running government. So much so कि इस साल चुनावी वर्ष होने के कारण भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने हम लोगों को लिए, हम लोगों के सर पे 2,000 करोड़ का लोन और लिया. और हम सब जानते हैं कि इस लोन का पैसा
2,000 करोड़ पर एवरी वीक.
तो आज की स्थिति 41,000, जितने लोग यहाँ खड़े हैं हम सब 41,000 करोड़ से, 41,000 रुपए से इंडेटेड हैं. अब बताइए कांग्रेस सत्ता में, जो कि निश्चित तौर पे आ रहे हैं, किस तरह से संभव होगा कि हम इस सिचुएशन से अपने आप को रिजर्व करें, अपने आप को निकाल सकें? और कांग्रेस के पास क्या, एक कम शब्दों में बताइए सर, क्या ऐसा प्लान है कि जो संभव हो पाएगा कि कम से कम इस लोन को कम करें या इस इंडेटेडनेस को कम करें?
See, to govern a state or a country, you have to have fiscal discipline, and it goes to the credit of Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government in 2001-2002. He brought the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act (FRBM) to sort of have control on your expenditure. And in the rules and the framework of the FRBM is that your fiscal deficit should not exceed 3 to 4% of the GDP. I think the last 6-7 years, Government of India and the state government have thrown caution to the winds, and their fiscal deficit has gone up to even 13%. 13%, it should have been 3 to 4%. Now, I would say indiscipline, that brings in inflation, and inflation brings in misery to a common man. What is happening in this country, that in every election we start with, we are going to deliver this, we are going to do this, we are going to do that. A lot of promises are made, and the kind of promises that have been made over these years. I recollect when I left my post in 2003, the total loan against in Madhya Pradesh was around about 23,000 crores. Now it is 3.5 lakh crores, and I was criticized then.
एक बार फिर से बताइए सर, ये this needs to carry some
Yes.
impact. जब आपने सरकार 2003 में मध्य प्रदेश में सरकार परिवर्तन हुआ, तब क्या लोन था?
23,000 crores. Now it is 3.5 lakh crores, and I was criticized. One of the major reasons for expenditure is overall employment in the government, and I was criticized, but I had to take some strong, I would say, unpopular decisions, where we sort of vacant posts which were unnecessary, about 80,000 posts, we sort of made them redundant. But what is most important is that revenues have to come in to sort of deliver the goods and deliver the promises. during the still 2004, there is every 5 years there's a finance commission is set up. How the central taxes are to be devalued. Till 2003-2004, the state's share in the central taxes used to be 28%. So we had a lot of problems in balancing our budget. And that is the time when we sort of went in privatization in roads and power. I was criticized that time for bringing in private capital into building of roads. But now those very people who are criticizing me are taking credit for doing what I had done. Similarly, because of the division of the state, most of our power plants were in Chhattisgarh. The consumers was in Madhya Pradesh. So there was an imbalance. And unfortunately, the Chhattisgarh government did not sell their surplus power to us. And that time they sold it to Gujarat. But after 2004, our economy grew after Dr. Manmohan Singh came as the Prime Minister. And then the Finance Commission, which used to give 28% of the central taxes, increased the share of the state from 28% to 42%. A huge hike of about 14%, which they ran into thousands of crores. So therefore, what I am trying to say is that fiscal discipline is the most, I would say, important thing in checking inflation. The point is that because of the fiscal indiscipline, there has been a sudden spurt of inflation. But now, as the whole Indian polity as it stands today, in every election, ultimately it becomes Hindustan, Pakistan, Shamshan, Kabristan, Hindu, Mussalman, which I think is a detrimental to our country, because if you divide the very people of this country, how can you sort of govern? You can't sort of every citizen in this country has a right under the Indian Constitution, and any kind of a victimization of a certain group is unfair, and it is not as per the Indian Constitution. So therefore, I think fiscal discipline should be there. I'm a votary of that. You have to cut down your expenditure. You have to increase your taxation. Another thing which has become, I must point it out also, the share of direct taxes. There are direct taxes and indirect taxes. Now, the direct taxes are collected from people who can pay taxes. Indirect taxes are collected through the common man. Till we were in government, the direct taxes which were collected from those who can pay taxes were much higher. Their share to the total kitty was much higher than indirect tax which is collected through the common man. But in the last 7-8 years, there has been an increase in the share of indirect taxes. That is, now more taxes are being collected from common man and less taxes from those who can pay. We, the middle class, are supposed to pay 30% of our taxes. But big corporates are paying only 20-22%. And there will be chartered accountants all around, they would bear me out on this. So there is a need, as it stands today, that there has to be a relook in our taxation policy. We have to increase our revenue. We have to cut down our expenditure. Where we can cut down our expenditure is something which any state government or the government of India has to take a call.
आपकी बातें सुन के थोड़ा सा लीक से हट के सवाल पूछता हूँ आपकी इजाज़त से सर। आपको आंकड़े जितनी अच्छी तरह याद हैं जो मैंने अभी आपसे सुने, वो एक आम तौर पे शायद एक 25 से 30, 35 साल, 40 साल का चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट को भी याद नहीं होंगे। एक बात बताइए सर, व्हाट कीप्स यू सो मेंटली एंड फिजिकली फिट? You are a 75-year young man. I would not call you a 75-year-old man. You definitely a 70. Let me finish. ये ऐसी क्या बात है? क्या मैं, your wife is here. I wish I could put the question to her कि ये क्या, what is it that keeps you going? I mean, you good in statistics, you're good in sports, you're good in politics, you're good. You have a fertile mind. What makes you what you are?
अजय, कोई भी मुझसे पूछता है ये, तो मैं कहता हूं पहले गुरु दक्षिणा दो फिर बताऊंगा। और गुरु दक्षिणा भी मैं मांगता हूं ₹1.25, ₹1.25। वो 25 पैसा आजकल किसी के पास है नहीं, तो मुझे किसी को अपना गुरु मंत्र देने की आवश्यकता नहीं पड़ती।
Very well said, sir. Very well said. Good, you are not a lawyer, sir. You would have given any lawyer a run for his money. Good, you are not practicing law. एक सर बिजली को लेकर सवाल मध्य प्रदेश में बहुत ज़्यादा, ये बहुत सारे हमारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स बैठे हैं, बिजनेस हाउसेस से आए हुए लोग बैठे हैं। मैं गलती नहीं करता हूँ तो 2009 से लेकर के हम मध्य प्रदेश में सरप्लस, और उसका श्रेय बहुत कुछ मैं आप लोगों को बता दूं कि दिग्विजय सिंह जी को जाता है, क्योंकि हाइडल पावर का जो प्राइवेट जनरेशन का आइडिया था, जो कंसेप्ट था, शुरू में जब आप सत्ता में आए थे 1993 में, तो आप ही लेकर के मध्य प्रदेश के लिए आए थे। ऑफकोर्स उसका श्रेय, जैसा कि हमेशा होता है, आज किसी भी चीज की नींव डलने से लेकर के उसको बनने तक कांग्रेस पार्टी या दूसरी पार्टी करती है, और आखिरी में उसका फीता काटने का श्रेय भारतीय जनता पार्टी ले जाती है। हम उस बात पे नहीं चर्चा कर रहे, लेकिन
अजय देखो
जी,
ये तो प्रकृति का नियम है, पौधा कोई लगाता फल कोई खाता, तो इसलिए तो कोई नई बात नहीं है, तो होता है।
तो ये सर बिजली की समस्या जो इतनी कॉमन हो गई है, फ्रॉम 2009 में प्रोड्यूसिंग सरप्लस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, आज भी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी की शॉर्टेज, कंजम्पशन घरों में है, फैक्ट्रीज में है, यूनिट्स में है, इंडस्ट्रियल हाउसेस में है। ये सो मच सो कि इन समस्याओं को लेकर के बहुत सारी फैक्ट्रीज मध्य प्रदेश से बंद हो गई, कई बिजनेस हाउसेस हमारे यहाँ से शिफ्ट हो गए। अब आज की स्थिति ये है कि मध्य प्रदेश में जो सरप्लस बिजली बनती है, वो मैं गलती नहीं करता हूँ तो शायद 6 रुपए यूनिट कमर्शियल रेट है उसका, और उससे सस्ती बिजली दिल्ली में जिसको हम बिजली बेचते हैं वहां उपलब्ध है। तो ये कैसी और ये बिजली की समस्या पर आपका क्या कहना है सर? बिकॉज यू
पहली बात तो ये है कि उस समय जब मुझ पर ये आरोप लगता था कि मैं बिजली नहीं दे पा रहा हूँ, उस समय मैंने कहा था कि 2007 में जितने हमारे पावर प्लांट्स हमने एंगेज किए हैं, वी विल बी सरप्लस इन स्टेट इन पावर, एंड वी डिड बिकम surplus in 2007. What is missing is the right kind of policy as far as the distribution is concerned. Free power should be given. I'm a supporter that free and the cheap power to the poor man is essential to sort of keep the social balance in the society. But what is being not being looked into are the transmission and the distribution losses. I have been a votary that the electric meters should be prepaid meters, like you have prepaid phone calls, and these chips should be available at your neighborhood shops. So therefore, I think this meter reading and all that is a very expensive kind of a thing, and it's a huge corruption into the reading of meters and all that. The simplest thing would have been you have a prepaid meters in your houses where you can sort of buy your additional the moment you sort of as it happens in your phone, as soon as your charges are less, you again go for recharging this thing. So one of the major issues in power sector are the distribution losses and the corruption in the distribution system. That has to be taken care of.
एक आपके थोड़े से संस्मरण जो उस पर पूछना चाहूँगा सर, कि हमने देखा कि मध्य प्रदेश में जब 2018 में हमारी सरकार बनी, उसका बहुत बड़ा श्रेय मैं ही नहीं, बहुत सारे मध्य प्रदेश के लोग और कांग्रेस की विचारधारा से जुड़े लोग आपको देते हैं और आपकी नर्मदा यात्रा को देते हैं. That actually impacted. I know your modesty will forbid you from accepting it, but please accept it. It's a fact. करीब 3,300 या 400 किलोमीटर की नर्मदा यात्रा आपने करी थी, बहुत सारे लोगों को आपने जोड़ा था, एंड पीपल वर इन फैक्ट सो ईगर एंड एंथुसियास्टिक जॉइनिंग विद यू. सिमिलर on a larger scale, similar thing was replicated in Rahul ji's Bharat Jodo Yatra, and you were part of the Bharat Jodo Yatra for a large section of the yatra. दो सवाल सर, एक तो आपको राहुल जी में उस भारत जोड़ो यात्रा के पहले और भारत जोड़ो यात्रा के बाद से क्या आमूल चूल, what is that? Now we see a different Rahul ji completely. There's been a metamorphosis of that man with the भारत जोड़ो यात्रा. आपका तजुर्बा क्या कहता है, क्या कारण था? और दूसरा ये है कि उस नर्मदा यात्रा से आपको इंडिविजुअली एक व्यक्तिगत तौर पे क्या हासिल हुआ, क्या forget about the political advantage that we actually, and what is your take on it, sir, both the yatras?
You must understand, in our country, yatras have always played a very important role. Adi Shankaracharya, at the age of 8, he was born in a small village in Kerala. He walked all the way from that village to seek the blessings of his guru on the banks of Narmada. So therefore, yatras have always had a great, I would say, history in all, in every field. What BJP is today is because of Rath Yatra of Mr. Advani ji, but then Advani ji is now in the Margdarshak Mandal. But yatras have always had a important place in our society. See, I had this only time in my life I had this kind of a premonition. I was the chief minister then in 2002. I was staying in a circuit house in Mandla, which is on the banks of river Narmada. And I'm a very sound sleeper. I got up 4 times between 2:30 and 4. And some, I would say, thought that I should do Narmada Parikrama. Frankly, I did not know that Narmada Parikrama hoti bhi hai ki nahi. So next morning, I asked one of my friends, ये नर्मदा की परिक्रमा का क्या महत्व है? He says, इसका बड़ा महत्व, हजारों लोग, लाखों लोग करते हैं. मैंने कहा भाई ये क्या बात है, नर्मदा परिक्रमा का क्यों ऐसे बात है? Then I had taken Diksha from late Swami Swarupanand Maharaj in 1983. People think that I am an anti-Hindu or I am an anti-religion. I am a ardent, avid follower of and a practicing Hindu. So I asked my guru. He said, no, it's very good indication, you must do Narmada Yatra. So this has been in my mind for a long time. In 2017, I asked Amrita, she was working in Rajya Sabha that time, कि मुझे नर्मदा यात्रा करनी है पैदल. Although Narmada Yatra is done by car also in 13 days. But if you want to walk, it's a long walk, 3,200 kilometers. And it walks, it is through 3 states. About 70% in Madhya Pradesh, about 20% in Gujarat, and about 10% in Maharashtra. So I asked Amrita whether would she like to join me? She said, of course I'll come in. I said, you'll have to walk. She said, of course I'll walk. When I can't walk, I'll sit in the car. So we did walk. And I can tell you that we really enjoyed it. Don't link it with politics. You would not believe it, a political person like me, an ardent user of Twitter, I did not tweet for 6 months and 10 days when I was walking. The troll army of my dear friends must have been very disappointed. They were out of business probably because in that time. Anyway, we did, and it gave me the opportunity to reconnect with all my old friends who had, they brought their family, their grandchildren, their children, and had a whale of a time, and there was no politics. You will be surprised, Ajay, the people who do Narmada Yatra is something which is unbelievable. Lot of people ask me, आपका अनुभव बताइए. मैंने कहा कि करके अनुभव देखिए, कोई आपको अनुभव इसका नहीं बता सकता. But it really brought a lot of change in me also, and it gave me an opportunity to connect. It has a lot of significance, and we went through jungles, the forests, and surprisingly, coincidentally, I entered Gujarat when the nomination papers of Gujarat Assembly election 2017 were being filed, and when I left Gujarat, the polling was taking place. But I did not participate. And another very interesting thing, now Mr. Amit Shah was here today. When I entered Gujarat, our entry was in the forest area. So one ACF came to me and said, sir, you are passing through forest. And unluckily, we entered Gujarat at 6 in the evening, and we had to climb about 1500 feet top of the mountain. And by the time we reached there, it was late in the night, by 11 p.m. And there was wildlife also. So there's a joke going around, people amongst ourselves. They said, यहाँ पर सब भालू बहुत आते हैं. तो हमने कहा भालू आएगा तो क्या करना है कि साहब लेट जाइए. मैंने कहा लेट जाएंगे तो फिर और हमारा गड़बड़ हो जाए. Anyway, so you will be surprised that the forest officer came to me and said कि साहब हमको आदेश हुआ है कि आपका पूरा समर्थन करना है. Elections in Gujarat going on, कि हमें अमित शाह का हुक्म हुआ है, अमित शाह जी का हुक्म हुआ है कि दिग्विजय सिंह की नर्मदा यात्रा हो रही है, इनको पूरा सहयोग करना है. Can you imagine? But I am extremely grateful that I was given all the help by the state government of Gujarat during my, and of course Maharashtra government and government of Madhya Pradesh also. But this I am saying that it was one of the most interesting experience, and of course I conveyed my thanks to Amit Shah ji publicly and in private also. What I am trying to say is that it gave me an opportunity to connect, rethink, but I don't agree that it contributed to our victory in 2018. This is something which I don't take credit. It is the credit of the people and the workers of the Congress party who fought brilliantly, and in spite of our this thing, we did form the government.
भारत जोड़ो यात्रा के बारे में कुछ वो.
Bharat Jodo Yatra was of course very interesting. No one realized, and no one could ever imagine, that Rahul Gandhi ji will walk 4,000 kilometers. The kind of picture that had been painted about Rahul Gandhi was quite contrary to what that man is. He is one of the most well-read persons, and you can talk on any subject, and if he is really interested in that, he can take hours and hours. You won't believe, theology is one of his favorite subjects. He can talk on Shaivism, he can talk on Vaishnavism, and Buddhism, Jainism. You can talk any subject with him. What did to him is simple. It changed the minds of the common man who've been fed this wrong impression of, I would say, the name that was given to him by some of the detractors. He is an extremely sensitive, fine person. And you must also realize he has gone through trauma at the age of 12. When he saw his grandmother being shot dead by one of the security guards with whom he used to play badminton. Then another trauma at the age of 18, when he saw his father being blown up by those people whom they could never imagine. So therefore, he was highly misunderstood. He is a thinker, and he's not interested in power politics. He's basically a man who wants to serve the people, common people, and he's a very well read, very sensitive and a very fine person as it is. So there is no change. I find him, I've known him a little bit, I've worked very closely with him when I was in charge of Uttar Pradesh. I find no change in Rahul Gandhi pre-Bharat Jodo and post-Bharat Jodo.
Fair question, sir. And just before I throw open some opportunity to the crowd, your support, Digvijaya Singh ji just spoke about your support in his Narmada Yatra. So my faith in that sentence that behind every successful man there is a woman now stands restored by what he just said. Congratulations to
No, I must tell you an interesting story. So when we finished after 6 months and 10 days, we finished about 5:30 in the evening in Narsinghpur. We were supposed to drive down all the way, take the water from Narmada, from the place we had started, and do the Abhishek on the Okareshwar Shivling. So that is a drive of almost 450 kilometers. So when we sat down in the car, after 6 months and 10 days, after half an hour, Amrita said, I can't go in the car, I must walk now. She said, I'll faint otherwise. So we had to stop at a pharmaceutical shop and give her a sedative so that she could sleep, so that we could travel. So we traveled throughout the night, and next morning 6 o'clock we reached Okareshwar. But this is something which happens if you keep on walking without going in the car. You get into a trauma when you sit in a car after walking such a long distance.
Some requests for some questions which have come up. Shamit. Yes. Where are you? I can't see you. Yeah, Shamit. Should I pass on the mic from you or will you be loud and clear? 8 minutes, sorry. इनके जो सवालों के पहले क्वेश्चंस आए, रिक्वेस्ट आई है.
Hello.
So this question pertains to
It is not an interaction. पर मैं जो लास्ट कमेंट मेरे हस्बैंड का था उसमें मैं कुछ जोड़ना चाहती हूँ. जो इन्होंने कहा कि जब हम परिक्रमा पूरी करने के बाद गाड़ी में बैठे और मैंने कहा कि मैं वॉक करके जाऊंगी, मैं गाड़ी में नहीं बैठ सकती, तो उस वक्त मेरे मन में क्या चल रहा था मैं उसको आपसे शेयर करना चाहती हूँ. शायद कभी उनसे भी मैंने शेयर नहीं किया. एक तो ये था कि 6 महीने तक लगातार प्रकृति की गोद में चलते हुए नेचुरल हवा पानी का आनंद लेते हुए जो हम लोग चले थे, वो अचानक मुझे छूटता हुआ दिखा, तो वो मेरे मन में एक इमोशनल आउटबर्स्ट था. और दूसरा, मैं लगातार ये फील कर रही थी कि कैसा होता होगा, क्या ऐसा ही लगता होगा जब किसी ट्राइबल एरिया से जो गांव में नेचर के करीब रहते हुए लोग हैं, जब उनको किसी शहर में किसी कंजेस्टेड या भीड़ भाड़ की जगहों में छोड़ दिया जाता होगा, तो क्या बिल्कुल वो ऐसा ही नहीं महसूस करते होंगे कि मुझे सफोकेशन हो रहा है. तो वो जो लोग पर्यावरण के और नेचर के करीब रहते हैं, जो उसको अनुभव करते हैं, उनको अगर इस तरह का सफोकेटेड माहौल मिलता है तो शायद वो बिल्कुल वैसा ही रिएक्ट करते हैं जैसा कि मैंने किया था. तब मुझे ये फील आया कि जो आदिवासी लोग हैं, जो ट्राइबल लोग हैं, जो गांव में दूर दराज के इलाकों में रहते हैं, वो क्यों वहाँ पर रहकर इतने खुश रहते हैं, इतने संतुष्ट रहते हैं, और क्यों हम शहरों में तमाम विकास के बीच में भी असंतुष्ट और खुश नहीं रहते हैं.
So my question is more towards the businesses in this state. So when this party, the current government came into power, they came more with saying that there'll be ease of business both in center and in state. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem so, and it's become rather difficult to do business now in India, rather in the state of Madhya Pradesh. If your government or if your party forms a government in the state, what would you do something different to make it easy for businesses like ours or small businesses to grow and wipe the corruption out?
How old are you?
So I'm quite old. I'm 50.
Okay. How old were you in 2000? From 1993 to 2003?
1993, I was 23.
Okay. During my 10 years in as a chief minister, first of all, you must define what is ease of business. What is ease of business?
So less of hegemony of the officers of the government.
Exactly. This is exactly what I did. I finished Inspector Raj. At that time it used to be VAT. Okay, I brought in VAT from sales tax to VAT. Simplification of the tax laws. And I said, no inspector will enter the business premise of any business, any trade, any trader without the permission of a committee headed by the Principal Secretary Taxation and the Commissioner Taxation. You'll be surprised that all those inspectors of the sales tax, which were getting 1,000 rupees to 5,000 rupees per month from each this thing, were very unhappy about it. So my own understanding of the business is, first of all, we should frame our policies and the rules as such, which are practical, which are doable. My own experience has been that the bureaucrats, when they frame the law and the rules, they do that with an assumption that everyone else is corrupt except themselves. So they want to sort of frame the rules that how to check the leakages. This by itself is a wrong assumption. You should start with an assumption that the common man doesn't want to be a sort of punished to break the rules. They want simplification of rules. They want simplification of rules which can be followed. So I simplified the taxation laws. I simplified the labor laws. I sort of also took away the authority from the lower officials to we finished it, Inspector Raj. So the environment of trust has to be between the governed and the governed. Those people who are in business must be trusted that they will follow the law and the rules, provided it is simple and not I would say difficult to go through the whole thing. So therefore I think if we come back to power, Mr. Kamal Nath is a very seasoned person who has been a minister for commerce. He's been a minister for a long time and is a businessman himself. So he understands business than at least me. I can assure you that we have to create an environment of trust between the industrialist, between the trader, and the attitude of the officers has to be that of a facilitator than a regulator.
Thanks.
Education, sir. I hope you're convinced, Shamit. He's also Rotarian, sir. Difficult to convince.
The point is, he will only be convinced when he sees our Congress government in functioning. And I'll be with you on that. I'll be with you on that.
पुरानी रिक्वेस्ट है, अनीस कुछ एजुकेशन रिलेटेड सवाल आप पूछना चाहते थे, आपकी चिट्ठी आई थी।
सर मैं डॉक्टर अनीस शेख यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ाता हूँ। सर मैं स्कूल एजुकेशन से रिलेटेड एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहूँगा और एक हायर एजुकेशन से। स्कूल एजुकेशन से ये सर कि पिछले 20 सालों में जो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स हैं उनके पास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तो है, पर ना तो उस मात्रा में उनको फंड प्रोवाइड हो रहा और स्कूल से जो एनरोलमेंट है वो डे बाय डे घट रहे हैं। साथ ही साथ जो
माइक पास में पीछे
साथ ही साथ जो सरकारी स्कूल है उनमें उस तरह की सुविधाएं सरकार प्रोवाइड नहीं कर पा रही है। उच्च शिक्षा में तो मैं खुद पढ़ाता हूँ, तो मैं देख रहा हूँ कि जो हमारे ग्रेजुएट पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट निकल रहे हैं उनको उस मात्रा में रोजगार नहीं मिल पा रहा है जितने वो ग्रेजुएट्स हो रहे हैं, और वो दूसरे स्टेट्स में या माइग्रेट कर रहे हैं जॉब्स के लिए। तो आपकी गवर्नमेंट बनती है तो आप क्या इन चीज़ों के लिए काम करेंगे नेक्स्ट जो गवर्नमेंट आपकी बने?
सर इसमें एक छोटा सा मेरा सवाल इन्हीं की बात पे ये है कि मध्य प्रदेश में अगर आप देखें, मैं अगर इंदौर से शुरू करूं तो हमारे जो सरकारी स्कूल हैं, जो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स हैं, स्ट्रेटेजिकली इतने वेल प्लेस्ड हैं जो कि शायद हमारा स्कूल भी नहीं था, मेरे कॉलेज में नहीं था। अगर हम बात करें पलासिया की बात करें तो बाल विनय मंदिर का जो क्षेत्र है या जो एरिया है, या सेवितागंज हाई सेकेंडरी स्कूल है या विवेकानंद स्कूल है, इन स्कूल्स के पास इतना माकूल एरिया है, लेकिन उनके बाद जानबूझ कर या तो एक स्ट्रेटेजिक तरीके से, कई बार तो मन में आता है कि जानबूझ करके उन स्कूल का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इतना ख़राब कर दिया गया है कि प्राइवेट स्कूल आगे बढ़ते जाएं और मनमानी फीस वसूल करें और मनमाना पैसा आम आदमी से, लोअर मिडिल क्लास और एक आम आदमी से वसूल करें. So do you see some kind of a foul game being played here? And if so, how do we tend to rectify it when we come to power? So what do you do about keeping up these?
See, मैं बिल्कुल आपकी बात से सहमत हूँ. शासकीय स्कूलों में क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन में इम्प्रूवमेंट होना चाहिए, लेकिन मैं हमेशा इस बात कहता हूँ, फर्स्ट एक्सेस देन एक्सीलेंस. इसलिए पहले हमने पूरा मध्य प्रदेश वन ऑफ द मोस्ट वाज द लार्जेस्ट स्टेट एट वन टाइम. नाउ आफ्टर डिवीजन छत्तीसगढ़, देयर आर प्लेसेस वेयर children have to walk 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers to go to the school. So we started the education guarantee scheme that every village or every habitation will have a school, primary school at a distance of 1 kilometer. Middle school, that's in class 8 till from 3 kilometers to 5 kilometers, and then 5 kilometers to 8 kilometers a high school. So first access was provided, and the education guarantee scheme was very simple. That any habitation, any community on demand shall say हमारे यहाँ school खोलना चाहिए. We will start a school, and that community appoints its own teacher. Absenteeism in government school was rampant, so we changed the rules also that in all government schools the salary of the teacher shall be paid after the parents committee sort of certifies that this teacher has been teaching in the school. Otherwise, there were schools where there were teachers but there was no student. No, there were students but they were not teaching. Absent. There was one case in one of the far-flung area. He sort of, the teacher was drawing the salary, and he had appointed someone else in his place to teach in that school. So therefore, the most important thing, the basic reform, is to improve the quality of education in the schools, and I stand for that. And we brought in the concept of schools of excellence at the district level, and every district we started a school of excellence where we chose the best students of the district, we chose the best teachers, and within 3 years, in the Madhya Pradesh Education Board, our students coming out of the government schools were in the merit list. So first, we have to give access and then excellence, make the parents accountable, the teachers accountable to the parents committee. Number one, for the primary school. Then I was criticized for that. English is a language for future, international language. I am not against Hindi, but we brought in English as a medium of instruction in most of the schools after class 5. That is important. Now, as far as college education is concerned, we did sort of set up, I set up a college of excellence in Bhopal, which is doing fairly good. You are from there, is it?
I am from Ujjain, sir.
You are from. We brought in college of excellence in Bhopal, which is doing fairly well. So the point is that higher education and the school education needs a regular, I would say, upgradation of the syllabus. Syllabus upgradation is a must in all schools, in government schools, in school education and higher education. I also brought in, simplified the rules of starting private schools and engineering and medical college, because I was seeing that our Madhya Pradesh students were paying huge sums and taking admissions in Karnataka and Maharashtra and other places. So we simplified the rules and I gave them permissions also to set up it. But at the same time, we set up this Rajiv Gandhi Technical University, RGPU, which was supposed to keep the standards in place so that our standards were not compromised. But unfortunately, this has not really happened. There are a number of colleges which have sprung up, which are doling out degrees on payment. There are instances where the student doesn't have to go and attend also. At the cost, he can get a degree, fake degrees. This is what has happened in the last 15-20 years, which has brought a lot of disrepute to our state. Vyapam and other things this is recruitment. So what I'm trying to say is I totally agree, but at the same time I don't agree with the new education policy which has come in, which is highly private oriented, which neglects the basic responsibility of the education of the state government. So I am a votary of improving the standards of the school education and at the same time keeping a minimum this thing. At the same time, I strongly feel that we neglected vocational training and skill development quite a lot. We have neglected the research also. I personally feel that we should have had more ITIs, more diploma polytechnics, and also after class 8, those students who are not intellectually well up, they should be diverted to trade and skill development, which has happened now after Dr. Manmohan Singh brought the skill development ministry. At the same time, I strongly feel that the quality of education in the courses, it has to be upgraded. The syllabus has to be sort of made.
And it has been updated. It will be updated from time to time.
Yeah, it has to be updated from time to time. Even when I was in engineering college, we had age-old machines to work upon. This is the time to sort of change that. We have to put in more investment, whether it's private or the state. We have to make it more, I would say, related to the demands of the trade and the industry. There has to be a bigger interaction between the industries and the institutions so that their courses can be modified to suit their industrial needs.
रोहित एक मिनट, मैं जो जिनकी रिक्वेस्ट है उनको
देखिए, ये प्रोफेशनल कांग्रेस का है, ये कोई पार्टी का या पत्रकार वार्ता नहीं है। इट इज ऑल इंडिया प्रोफेशनल कांग्रेस की हमारी मीटिंग है, तो वही लोग जो इसके मेंबर हैं वही क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे।
रोहित,
गुड इवनिंग सर, माय क्वेश्चन इज रिगार्डिंग brain drain. Here in MP there is rampant unemployment. The growth of the employment rate is very high, and the government seems to fail to provide gainful employment to the youths. And because of this, not only in MP, the brain of India is draining to other states and to other countries also. So what are your suggestions to improve the employment?
You see, exodus from India to other countries has increased, there is no doubt about it. Why this has happened, I don't want to talk politics just now. But this is an area of major concern that those who are feeling unsafe here are migrating outside, and which is a reverse, I would say, brain drain which has taken place. I think we have to be very careful on that, and we have to create environment. Now, therefore, as I said, we have not paid much attention to research. At one time, India was ahead of China till the 90s in patents. But after 90, we have really gone much below what China is taking as patents. Research is not being given enough attention, although the budget has improved. But I strongly feel that one mistake we did initially was that we restrained the research and confined it to some research laboratories. It should have been a part of the curriculum in the institution, in the graduate and in the postgraduate institutions, so that enough facilities, enough investment should have been on the upgradation of the research labs in our academics. Now, what is the reason for the brain drain? Why people are going out? It could be that the people are feeling not very safe in this country. The kind of environment that has been created of EDs and ITs and CBIs, this has created a fear, a scare amongst the people in this country, and which is driving them out of this country. So this is an area of concern, and at the same time, I would say that the economy is not doing really well. I feel our economy, which was doing fairly well till one point of time, because the major employment comes in India through MSMEs. It doesn't come through big industries. The MSMEs took a beating after demonetization. Demonetization led to a closure of many of these small and macro and medium industries, which were dealing more on cash rather than anything else. We are personally, I'm a strong votary against black money, but then one of the reasons for bringing the demonetization was to check cash transactions. But on the contrary, what has happened is, in 2016, when the demonetization came in, the currency in circulation was about 17.5 lakh crores. And we was made to believe that it will check corruption, it will check terrorism, it will check fake currency, and bring in digital currency. Now, the currency in circulation in 2022-23 has gone up from 17.5 lakh crores to more than 33 lakh crores. And that itself is a matter of serious concern and research. Where has all this money gone? Personally, I feel that we have to create much more confidence amongst the MSMEs. We have to make MSMEs much more, I would say, attractive. For example, a very interesting thing which came up in our Bharat Jodo Yatra. There's a place in Karnataka which is known as Bellary. Bellary is known for this illegal mining, all that. But there were about 400,000 people employed, 4 lakh people in manufacturing jeans. They were buying denim and producing jeans. But after demonetization, the number of people employed in jeans manufacturing has come down from 400,000 to 100,000. 300,000 people have lost their jobs in only one city of Bellary, which was one of the basic hub of jean manufacturing. So there are a number of other reasons, but I may be criticized for saying that, but the fact remains that the environment of trust within the system, we are slowly losing, is one of the major reasons for people not investing enough in this country.
इसी बात पे सर, आप एक बात पे आई होप यू सैटिस्फाइड हो। इसी बात पे सर, एक मैक्सिमम हमने देखा है कि हाई नेटवर्थ इंडियंस जो है जिनको हमें चले, वो जिस तेज गति से पिछले 5 से 8 वर्षों में हिंदुस्तान को छोड़ के गए, वो कभी देश की आज़ादी के बाद से आज तक इतना नहीं हुआ। दूसरी बात ये है कि हम आज विश्वगुरु बनने का सपना देख रहे हैं। मैं गलती नहीं करता हूँ तो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने शायद कुछ ही दिन पहले एक सार्वजनिक मंच से घोषणा करी थी कि तीसरी बार अगर उनकी सरकार वापस सत्ता में आती है, जो कि होना बहुत मुश्किल है, लेकिन अगर सत्ता में आती है उनको तो विश्वास है कि जरूर आएगी, तो हम टॉप 3 इकोनॉमीज में बन जाए। आपको ऐसा कुछ होता दिखता है? मुझे नहीं लगता जितने लोग यहाँ बैठे हैं कि कोई टॉप 3 इकोनॉमीज में हमारी स्थिति जो आज है, एक विश्व गुरु बनने को छोड़ दीजिए, आज हमारे जितने लोग हैं वो
विश्व गुरु हम लोग योगा में जरूर बन गए, इकोनॉमी में हम लोग नहीं बन पाए। बात यह है कि अगर विश्व गुरु बनना है और हमको 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी में जाना है और 3rd लार्जेस्ट ग्रो इकोनॉमी करना है, तो ये बात कोई नई नहीं है जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है। डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी ने 2009-2010 में कहा था, बाय 2030 वी विल ग्रो द काइंड ऑफ ग्रोथ दैट वी आर हैविंग, वी विल बिकम द 3rd लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमिक कंट्री इन द वर्ल्ड। सो जो नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने अभी कहा है, कोई नई बात नहीं कही है, ही जस्ट रिपीटेड व्हाट डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी हैज सेड इन 2010-2011।
पीयूष,
Good evening, sir. Sir, building upon the previous question, sir, as per the recent statement by the Honorable Minister of External Affairs in the Parliament, the data says that around more than 2.25 lakh Indian citizens have renounced their citizens.
Yes.
Now, this is as per is obvious. This is the chunk of population which significantly contributes to the income tax. Now, we all know the importance of July 31st, which is coming tomorrow. So my question is, since this is a gathering of professionals, we often feel disenchanted with the contribution that we make towards the society vis-a-vis our income taxes and the services that we get in return. So what is your take? Do you agree with the fact that a significant chunk of professionals do feel disenchanted with commensurate the services that they provide in terms of income taxes, and what do they get in return?
You see, goods and service tax was on our agenda for the UPA government, but GST is only successful in those countries. Is only successful in those countries where there is a single tax slab, or at the most 2 tax slabs. Here we've got 5 tax slabs. Then we've got concessions in alcohol and petroleum. Then we've got cess apart from that. So I think one of the major reasons for the disillusionment among the taxpayers is the kind of GST formulation. First of all, you have to file in more tax returns to get the benefit of GST. Then 5 different slabs. No country in the world GST is become successful where there is 1 or at the most 2 tax slabs. Number 2. Number 3, one of the most dangerous thing, the dangerous decision which they have taken now is to bring the Prevention of Money Laundering Act within the ambit of the GST. Any person with a turnover 1 crore has to pay GST. And PMLA is such a draconian law. Unfortunately, it was a UPA government which brought it.
I was about to. That's a very serious
PMLA.
statement you're making.
Yes, it was very, and unfortunately, the person who brought PMLA himself was the first victim. So therefore, I think you must understand that the very decision of bringing the GST under the ambit of the PMLA is a very, very, I would say, dangerous thing, which has now the decision has been taken. At least I have raised this issue in the Parliament, and I'm writing a letter to the Prime Minister also to reconsider that, because it will again further make the life of all those people who are paying GST and become more and more difficult for the people, taxpayers to. Your point was that are we getting the facilities what the taxpayer is should be entitled to? Whether the infrastructure available is proper or not, the educational and health facilities are there or not, the administration is responsive to the needs of the people or not is something which depends on the governance and the government officials' attitude. This itself depends on the person who's the chief executive of the state. Now, if you encourage corruption down the line, obviously you are at the mercy of the administration. I don't want to be seen as criticizing the present incumbent, but the fact remains that the government should be responsive to the needs of the people, from the poorest to the richest, and no unnecessary harassment should be there of people, and one has to invest. Although Indore is one of the cities which has been adjudged as one of the cleanest cities in the country successively, but yet there are points on which something more has to be done.
Traffic is one such issue, sir. I'm sure
Yes,
you heard about it.
and Indore is still better. Bangalore has become worse. So therefore, I think I would say the urban planning is something much to be desired, but at the same time, I would say that the people who are governing the administration has to be more responsive to the needs of the people, and has to be more as a facilitator than a regulator, as I mentioned earlier.
Short of time, Shri Digvijaya Singh ji and
Good evening,
have
sir.
to catch a flight, so let it be brief then, na? Chota, and then I'll request Sahab to just go for the people just to say hello to them. Your question, last question.
प्रोफेशनल मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है, जैसे एक बहुत बड़ा घोटाला हुआ मध्य प्रदेश में, व्यापम घोटाला, तो इतने लंबे समय तक हम लोग जितने प्रोफेशनल्स थे उसका दंश झेलते हुए आए, और भाजपा जैसे दोबारा से हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग करके सत्ता में दोबारा आई, तो उसके बाद उन्होंने व्यापम 2 रिपीट कर दिया। तो सर हमारी सरकार बनती है तो जो शिक्षा के जो असुर हैं, जिन्होंने कई सारे होनहार छात्रों का भविष्य बर्बाद कर दिया, उनके लिए हम क्या करना चाहिए, या कैसे इस समस्या को
भाई देखो, व्यापम की तो नेटफ्लिक्स को वेब सीरीज बनाना चाहिए। व्यापम 1, व्यापम 2, व्यापम 3, व्यापम 4, व्यापम 5, हर रिक्रूटमेंट में, हर एडमिशन में घोटाला है। आपने नॉर्मलाइजेशन का शब्द सुना है? ऑनलाइन एग्जामिनेशन सरकार करती है। अब ऑनलाइन एग्जामिनेशन के लिए उनको इतने कंप्यूटर अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो ये एग्जामिनेशन चलते हैं कम से कम 1 महीने, और हर दिन नया एग्जामिनेशन पेपर सेट होता है, और हर दिन एग्जामिनेशन सेट हो जाने के बाद रिजल्ट जब आता है तो एक कमेटी बैठती है जो देखती है कि ये जो टेस्ट पेपर था ये टफ था या आसान था। अगर टफ था तो नॉर्मलाइजेशन के नाम से उस बच्चे के मार्क्स बढ़ा दिए जाते हैं, और अगर आसान था तो उस बच्चे ने जो एग्जाम में नंबर जो उसको मिलते हैं वो घटा दिए जाते हैं। और इसमें बहुत बड़ा खेल होता है नॉर्मलाइजेशन में कि जिसको 150 मिले 180 में से, लेकिन उनके असेसमेंट में सरल पेपर था तो उसको हो जाएगा 130, और 130 वाला इसको अगर उनके दिमाग में कि टफ पेपर था तो उसको हो जाएगा 150। तो ये बहुत बड़ा रैकेट है ऑनलाइन एग्जामिनेशन का, क्योंकि ऑनलाइन एग्जामिनेशन में एक दिन पेपर नहीं होता है, एक पेपर नहीं होता है, महीने भर तक अलग अलग पेपर होते हैं। और उसमें नॉर्मलाइजेशन, मैं कहता हूं कि इस तरह का नॉर्मलाइजेशन प्रोसेस जहां तक मैं जानता हूं किसी और प्रांत में नहीं है, लेकिन मध्य प्रदेश में ये व्यवस्था है। तो ये आपने जो क्वेश्चन पूछा है ये हॉलमार्क है हमारी मामा जी की जो सरकार है, इसका ये हॉलमार्क रहा है। इतना ब्लेटेंट करप्शन है मैं आपसे कह नहीं सकता। और ये भी एक अनेक बात सुन लीजिए कि रिजर्वेशन हमारा है फिजिकली चैलेंज लोगों का, फिजिकली चैलेंज में भी सर्टिफिकेट डॉक्टर दे रहा है, और उसमें हियरिंग का सबसे ज्यादा रिक्रूटमेंट, हियरिंग लॉस ऑफ हियरिंग मतलब बहरे लोगों की ज्यादा भर्ती हो रही है, और वो भी बहरों की सर्टिफिकेट भी कहाँ ज्यादा मिल रहा है, मुरैना और ग्वालियर के लोगों को ही वहाँ सर्टिफिकेट ज्यादा मिल रहा है जिनकी भर्तियां उसके अंदर हो रही हैं।
तो ये सर जो हम सुनते हैं कि ना खाऊंगा ना खाने दूंगा, ये इस
इसका उल्टा है, खाओ लेकिन हमें भी खिलाओ।
Thank you so much, sir. We have so many questions from so many people to ask.
No, you are outside.
I'll tell you, he has to
outside.
बाहर. I'll tell you the reason why. I will request
आप
Digvijaya Singh ji to
कांग्रेस
please.
के मेंबर नहीं है जो।
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. मैं सर निवेदन ये कर रहा हूँ कि it's been a pleasure talking to you. Each one of us has enjoyed interacting with you. और एक दूसरा ही रूप आपका बहुत relaxed रूप में एक on the lighter side of you has come before the public at last. You only knew as a former chief minister, as a member of parliament, Lok Sabha, Lok Sabha, MLA and everything. A different picture of you we will carry in your hearts. Thank you so much for giving us
Thank
time
you.
and opportunity.
Thank you.
And also, Rani sir, thank you also. I request you to such please.
And I must compliment Shashi Tharoor for having drafted such a young crowd, and of course the professionals, because professionals in Congress was not there. So at least now we have some professionals in the Congress party. Thank you very much, Ajay.